there's so much more content nowadays because it's so easy to produce. And there's so much more apps and products because it's becoming also easier to do those. So I think both of them have become exponentially harder. But it's also that users have become more picky, saturated, and maybe bored of the existing ways of doing things. So the moat is still there, reaching them, and everybody's competing for the same limited 24 hours a day. And if you look back each decade, or maybe 2 decades, there's usually a few of these platforms, big companies who are the incumbents, whether it's the Facebooks and Twitters and Googles who come out of the disruption, and then comes the next one. TikTok was maybe the next generation before Google and those guys, but who are the next ones coming in? There's always these who are coming, but it usually takes a few decades, and there's only a few of them. So it's a really tough game, and only a few will win in big time, and the rest will either be bought out or they have some kind of success. So I don't think it's ever getting easier. There's always been a few newspapers, radio stations. That's how it's always been. There was so many car companies in the turn of the 20th century, and then there were only a few. So it's always tough. One could ask, is it harder to produce unique content nowadays because there's already some hundreds of, if not thousands of years of history behind us? So previously, maybe 100 years ago, 150 years ago, it was easy to do TikToks when it was mute, black and white, and Buster Keatons were inventing the art form. But is it still the same thing? And what if we are 150 years in the future, looking back, these primitive tools, and say, oh, it was so easy those days, they didn't have this and that and whatnot. And there was so many undiscovered fields to do stuff. I guess it's always hard. As a passing note that the most productive, the best coders already became so much better with the AI. So that's already vindicating your hypothesis. Where OF has managed to succeed with the original niche, I haven't seen the same happening with the rest of the creatives, musicians, painters, and anybody else doing creative work, where they have their followers and they would like to really much do the same, to have some kind of consistent, maybe one channel to get most of their revenues and interaction with their fans. In the next sit, I will show you one example. Here's an example of a talented young artist who's digital savvy, and as you can see, this is from her Linktree. So there's tons of different places where you can consume her content and find her and contribute to her success by buying some of her digital products. But that's exactly what I mean. This is what it takes currently to earn your living as a freelance artist. While X is going deeper to the financial side of things, I wonder whether you can still keep on using the platform, the Twitter functionality, just as a social media without a need to verify with the government issued ID and giving your photo and whatever identification details over them, even though you don't want to use the financial services. So maybe if you want to not trust X, maybe you're forced out of the platform.